The time has come to talk about one of my favorite artists, an artist that I've been following for quite some time now. Pretty much from the beginning of my art career to my art career currently. And it's safe to say he is still going to be probably one of my greatest influences for years to come. Today's episode of Why the Freak Is That So Good? Richard Anderson, aka Flaptraps. Mr. Flaptraps. Mr. Anderson. What do I love about Mr. Anderson's work? Well, there's too much to talk about, and I can't really talk about any individual artwork on its own. There's too many good pieces of artwork here. But what really makes me like Richard's stuff here, good old Rich, is his ability to push atmosphere and detail with abstraction and contrast. So let's take one of my favorite pieces of his. Let's take a look at this one right here. This is probably one of the greatest examples of the things I just said, where it pushes a lot of feel in terms of atmosphere, and it gives us a lot of insight into how much detail the environment would have. And it's really cool because it's just really crazy brushwork, but it's all controlled, it's all structured, and it's all well placed. Now, I don't think that Richard is necessarily a savant or somebody who's perfectly capturing these shapes with every stroke he makes. In fact, I think the opposite is true. I think that Richard paints these things in a way where he feels it out. And I've seen some of his process. Images, and you can tell he starts one way and then he completely changes it after he gets more information on the page. But I think it's important to understand that, because I think when you see something like this, you might think that everything was deliberate, and maybe this image is one of those examples, but the reality is a lot of his images start out pretty rough but graphic. And as he adds more and more detail, then he decides whether it should stay this way. And what makes his work really resonate with me is not because it's refined. It's clearly not, at least not this one. It's because he has this real control over his shapes and contrast. And if you go up here, you'll see he actually has a process video or process GIF for some of these images. I believe here's actually in the video. And we can go ahead and watch it briefly. So you can see he throws in crazy amounts of shape, he uses crazy images, and he uses those images and those textures to kind of start a painting. And then as he starts to construct shadows and shapes, he'll decide to change it up if he wants. So he's changed the face like several different times. You know, he didn't determine that there was going to be a sword there, but he just decided, you know what, it would look dope as hell if there was a sword there. There was a background, and he's like, you know what, there's no need for a background, and he gets rid of it, creating a sense of atmosphere and a sense of mood. This is something that I've been practicing lately. I've been a person of refinement for many years, and so having refinement in my work has been always valuable to me. But I think it's come to a point where I need to learn how to mix and match refinement and sketchiness, develop a style that speaks to refinement and sketchiness, where some people like Richard here is all about that sketchiness. This is one of my favorite examples of this, where he just decides to change the whole background and lighting, even though he had laid out all this texture. It's almost meaningless. And this is what I'm trying to get at. He gets more information, he decides that let's try something different to make it kind of come together. And he has a lot of these really amazing images that just don't necessarily have a real strong sense of refinement and polish, but you can see and sense that there's something happening within the image, which then gets created into some sort of meaningful artwork. But it doesn't necessarily mean that this guy can't do a little bit more polished, a little bit more refined artwork. If you look at some of his other work that he's done for Marvel movies, this stuff's actually pretty refined, comparatively, right? And I like to show this type of stuff as well, because it's clear to me it's not that he has no skill or sensibilities of lighting and perspective and what have you, and refinement and polish. He chooses not to do it in some of these paintings that we're looking at. And that choice is what really drives me to be inspired. And there's something really beautiful and elegant with the simplicity of textures and shapes, and just focusing on only story, composition, and mood that really helps me fall in love with his work every single time when he does this stuff. So what this does is just gives me more reasons to keep looking at his artwork. He's a good guy too. I talk to him sometimes on Instagram. He's a big fan of my stuff too, which is a huge honor. It's kind of a surreal moment when the people that you really looked up to when you first started say, hey, you got good stuff too. It's really a powerful circling of influence. And I don't think it'll ever go away, because there was a time for like about a year or two I had just stopped looking at his work. Not because I was like, I don't like it or anything. That never was a reality. Just because, I just stopped. I was doing other stuff. I think I was learning how to program and all these things. And I just came back. He posted something recently, and I just happened to catch it, and I was just like, whew, that's right. My man Flaptraps. This guy's got ideas, And what this shows me is that, you can really polish work. You can really design things with such this feeling of effortlessness that in itself has a lot of appeal, that it's just looks effortless, and you got so much stuff going on, and there's such a involved story. I don't do that with my artwork too often. I just really focus on polish, and I focus on just the surrealness of it. But he has some real motives going on in his artwork, and I think that's really powerful, and I need to do more of that in my work. I mean, look, this is almost 1,200 likes. Clearly people love this artwork, so you guys should check out my man Richard Anderson. I mean, why is it so good, right? Anyways, this has an appeal to people in a lot of ways. I mean, take a look at this, just effortless sculpting of the forms. This is just so powerful, and this was why I think his work really resonates, not just with myself but other great artists. And he's got some tutorials out there for you guys to watch. You should check it out. So really, I mean, Richard Anderson is one of those people that I think a lot of people just don't know exists anymore. He's not out there as often as he used to be. In fact, when I knew about him because my friends, they just told me about him. They're like, hey, him, Jamie Jones, and Kekai Kataki are some of the big hitters, and they worked on Guild Wars together. And when we saw their artwork and the concept art of Guild Wars, we were just like, these guys are rock stars. And it really helped me realize that your designs can also be really exciting. They don't have to just be really, really, really polished. They can just have a lot of energy in them and feel really cool. And if you look at some of my artwork now, you can tell that I try to maintain energy. I try to maintain this sense of coolness. And a lot of that came from those three guys, Richard being one of them. And I think to this day, he's still a huge influence to me. And I don't know. If I did not be exposed to his work early on, I don't know how my artwork would have been today. It's a really good thing to recognize those who really shaped who you are, and to give them some credit whenever they deserve it. And I would recommend you guys follow him on Instagram. It's Flaptraps, and then you should follow him on ArtStation as well. And if he has a DeviantArt, you should follow him there. Anyways, let's go ahead and end this video here before I get too much of a art crush on this guy, right? So for those of you who are watching for the first time, thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys got inspired by Richard's work as well, and you're already going there and downloading all those images for your reference boards. And if you like this video, please like it, leave some comments to what you like about his artwork. I think it'll be nice to hear. And yeah, send them some love. Tell them that Anthony Jones sent you. Let them know, like, hey, you're greatly appreciated. and see his reaction. He's a nice guy. I think he deserves some more love. I mean, he's working. He's not busy, but we can always help each other out, especially those who are heavy influences to us in our careers. And with that, y'all, I'm gonna bounce out of here. Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate it. Please subscribe to watch more in the future. If you liked the video, I would appreciate a thumbs up. If you like this content, you can go to my website, robotpencil.net, where you can find mentorships, tutorials, and a Patreon to get more exclusive content. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in my next videos.